You are listening to the audiobook for Chosen, written by Donley, book cover art by Nikolai Nigura. This audiobook utilizes text-to-speech and text-to-image for the audio and visual experience. Chapter 1.
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the great dragon, called the devil, and cast him down to the earth.
The priest's voice droned through the cavernous church, each syllable bouncing off the vaulted wooden ceiling. His aged, stoic eyes swept across the congregation. The world was crumbling. The youth had turned their backs on Christian values, chasing after twerking and meaningless pleasure. Civilization resembled Sodom and Gomorrah. The priest stood firm at his pulpit as the last line of defense. From his holy vantage point, he observed his flock. They were Christ's soldiers, but the enemy was cunning. Rituals were the priest's weapon. He commanded their sitting, standing, and kneeling, keeping their minds locked onto Christ. And yet, amid their devotion, a young man sat hunched over, feigning prayer. In his mind, the environment rippled with change. A dark aura slithered over his skin. His eyes glowed. Shadows wove through his clothing. The energy radiating from him was suffocating. The congregation couldn't look away. He drew their gazes like moths to a flame. His family stared in horror as he climbed onto the pew. The air was heavy with an unspoken question. Was this damnation or worse? All eyes turned to the priest. He stood frozen. His hands trembled. The young man moved. Tap, tap. The pews cracked beneath his feet. Finally, he stopped. Realization dawned in the priest's eyes. Panic surged.
Stop.
The priest cried, his voice cracking with desperation. The young man clutched the base of Jesus' cross. His nails dug into Jesus' alabaster skin, carving crimson rivulets that streamed down the white marble altar. The priest gasped as flecks of red hit his robes.
No, in God's name, be gone, you devil.
He hurled candelabras.
Break free.
He shouted.
Save yourselves. Run.
The spell broke. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers dragged their families toward the doors. The pews shook as the crowd scrambled in panicked chaos. The young man's claws reached for the chains that held the cross. He pulled. Cracks rippled through the wooden support beams. Glass and steel reinforcements gave way, and the roof came crashing down. And just like that, the vision shattered. Eli blinked. A hand was on his shoulder. The culprit? The usual suspect, his chubby, hairy older brother, Gabriel. Their mother, Juno, a small, plump woman whose bronze complexion lay buried beneath layers of heavy foundation, glared.
Eli, pay attention. You are in the Lord's home. Show some respect.
Eli stared blankly.
She doesn't see the world like I do. She can't be my mother.
By this point in Mass, the same vision overtook Eli every week. Long ago, the last ancient forests had been bulldozed into strip malls, crepe shops, and frozen yogurt stalls. At the edge of town, where industry discarded its waste, a cesspool of rotting matter churned in an endless, bubbling vortex. A human infant emerged. Divine light bathed the child. Above, two winged alligators gazed down.
You will save the world.
They proclaimed.
Though we and the devil remain in our separate domains, we will guide you. We will love you.
The baby floated, giggling. A metallic clatter echoed in the distance. From the ruins of the scrapyard, a scruffy, bearded man emerged. Grease and grime stained his tattered clothes. He stopped and stared at the radiant glow above. The alligators turned their eyes toward the child.
We will conceal your power,
They murmured.
until you are ready to wield it.
The light vanished. The baby descended. The bearded man stumbled forward, navigating through the endless heaps of discarded waste. There, Wrapped in filth and mud lay the child. The man hesitated, glancing around as if expecting an answer to reveal itself. Finding none, he sighed. With a grunt, he peeled off his hole-ridden sweatshirt and wrapped the infant in its folds. And so, he carried the child into town. Juno would adopt that child. Every Sunday, she would take him to church. Eli lay sprawled across his bed, hollow and numb. Still dressed in his stiff church clothes, he stared up at the ceiling fan. The stagnant air made his nose itch with the scent of dust clinging to the walls. He looked at the fan's power switch. He imagined it clicking. A soft snap. A faint hum. A sudden gust of air brushed against his skin. His breath caught in his throat. The switch was across the room. Yet somehow he had felt it. Every ridge of the glossy plastic, the slight push, the instant whir of spinning blades. His pulse pounded.
Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe I'm dreaming.
He needed a test, something deliberate. His eyes darted around the room.
Ball on the drawer? Books on the shelf? The cross on the wall? The cross on the wall!
Heart hammering, he imagined it lifting, floating into the air. A jolt ran through him. The shape burned into his mind, and suddenly, there it was. He could feel the smooth, worn wood, the surrounding space, the very air hugging its edges. He was both himself and the object. He was touching it without touching it. A laugh bubbled out of him, shocked, ecstatic, disbelieving. His whole body tingled with an energy he had never known. Grinning, he stretched his awareness further, reaching out to everything in the room. The books, the ball, the chair, they rose, weightless, orbiting him like planets around a star. The rush was intoxicating.
What's all that noise up there?
Juno's voice cut through the moment like a blade. Eli flinched, his focus shattered. The floating objects plummeted. A thrill shot through him as they fell, like a skydiver in freefall. With a touch of his will, he slowed them, guiding them back into place just before they could hit the ground. Silence settled over the room. Everything was exactly where it had been, normal, orderly, as if nothing had happened. Before he could process what it all meant, the walls around him shifted. His bedroom dissolved. Thick smoke curled through the air. The stench of decay filled his lungs. Eli stood in the middle of a battle-ravaged avenue. Crumbling buildings loomed on either side, their windows shattered, their facades scarred by war. Shards of glass glistened like fallen stars along the sidewalk. A shadow passed overhead. Eli looked up. A winged alligator soared above him, its massive form gliding through the ashen sky. A sudden shock went through Eli.
Stop!
He called, his voice swallowed by the eerie quiet. The creature twirled in the air, turning its head toward him. Its eyes gleamed, beckoning him forward.
Wait, slow down. What's going on?
Eli shouted, breaking into a run. The alligator flew effortlessly, its vast wings casting dark, jagged shadows along the broken walls. As he chased it through the desolate streets, a new horror took shape. The ground was littered with bodies, motionless figures draped in tattered uniforms. Their empty eyes stared into nothing. Military patches and insignias marked their chests, but none he recognized. His stomach dropped, but he forced himself to look away.
Keep going. Keep your focus.
Gunfire erupted in the distance. The crack of bullets sent chills racing down his spine. Then suddenly, the White House. He skidded to a stop. There was a large hole in the building's center. His breath came in ragged gasps. A piece of paper fluttered at his feet. He reached down, lifting it carefully. A propaganda poster, stained, torn, but still legible. America will overcome. On the left side stood the president, his face resolute. Scientists, engineers, and doctors flanked him, all gazing upward toward a sleek, rising rocket. Bold letters arched across the image. The American dream. Eli swallowed hard. He looked up again, searching for the alligator. Gone. Darkness swallowed the world. Then Eli was back in his bedroom. He floated inches above the floor before gently descending. Eli sat up, gasping for air. His mind spun with questions, but one thought rose above the rest.
How did this happen to me?
Had he spent too many years fantasizing about telekinetic powers and winged alligators? Or was this real? A gift from heaven? And if heaven had granted him this power, the destruction of the White House could only be the work of the devil. He had to know the truth. He had to act. Tearing a piece of notebook paper from his desk, he scrawled a message.
I have left on a mission for God. Don't look for me or contact the police. I'll call you when I have time. I love you. Eli.
He placed the note on his pillow, smoothing the fabric of his freshly made bed. Stepping toward the window, he unlatched it, letting the summer air rush in. The note quivered. With an invisible touch, he pressed it down. Without a reaction, he stepped onto the sill and dropped. His feet barely touched the ground as his unseen force cushioned the landing. He turned, glanced up at the window, and remotely shut it behind him. Then he walked outward into the suburban abyss. The colonial-style houses, the cracked sidewalks, the kids still riding their bikes, the impatient drivers rolling past stop signs. All of it faded behind him. His mind burned with purpose.
Everything intersects with him. Mr. President, I'm coming for you.
Eli calculated his next steps.
5 miles. That's how far I'll walk before I steal a car. The last thing I need is to commit a crime in my neighborhood.
The distant hum of traffic grew louder, swallowing the gentle chirps of crickets and the rustle of leaves. Cars sped past, each engine a fleeting note in a symphony. The air smelled of blooming flowers and damp pavement. And Eli walked on, his journey only beginning.